Hi guys, what's up and welcome to this episode of Tech Stuff. Today we have the Sirui 50mm anamorphic lens. Now we've all seen films shot on these anamorphic lenses, but we might not always be conscious about it. These cinematic wide aspect films were all shot on anamorphic lenses, a lens originally designed to maximize the field of view while compacting it onto a 35mm film strip. Now these lenses are usually very expensive and only come in a few focal lengths. So Sirui has developed this 50mm anamorphic lens to be compatible with today's mirrorless cameras without having the use of adapters. This lens is compact and well built, and more importantly it comes in at an affordable price of $600 as compared to the professional grade anamorphic lenses that can cost up to $50,000. With this new lens, anyone can start shooting anamorphic sequences and get that interesting cinematic look. Now before I continue with this video, I do want to thank TK Photos for lending me this lens for this review. If you guys are interested, you can head down to your store to try this lens out for yourself. Now anamorphic lenses like this allow you to film at a wider aspect ratio without compromising your video quality. Now many videographers use the black bar technique, which removes a significant amount of footage from your shot. But with this anamorphic lens, you're able to shoot a full 4K resolution shot and still retain that wide aspect ratio. Now with anamorphic lenses, one of the most signature visual effects you'll get is of course the flares. Now something I found out while using this lens for the first time was that blue and white light gives off the strongest and clearest flares, while yellow light gives off a slight green tint which I didn't particularly like. However, because this lens isn't image stabilized, any shaking in your footage is exaggerated by the lens flares and the lights. Now usually shaky footage can be corrected in post-production, but there's nothing much you can do if the light flares itself are moving about. Now I did use a gimbal while filming some moving shots with this lens, however because it is a manual focus lens, it was a bit difficult to pull focus and keep it smooth at the same time. Now another visual effect that you would get from this lens are oval shaped bokeh balls. Now this is very different from the round shaped bokeh that we would get from spherical lenses. It's not a big deal, but I thought it would be worth mentioning. Now another feature of this lens is that it comes with a Sony native E-mount, which allows you to attach the lens directly onto your camera without having the use of any adapters. However, like I mentioned earlier, this is a manual lens, which means both focus and aperture are controlled by the rings on the barrel. Now this might be a turn off for some people, mainly because manual focus lenses are a bit more difficult to use, also because the aperture ring does not have any stops or any clicks, which means you'll never know the exact aperture that you're shooting with. Now the front element of this lens is very different from spherical lenses. It has a square element at the front, followed by some oval aperture rings inside. It has also threads at the front, allowing you to use filters with this lens. Now I'm no expert in anamorphic lenses or anamorphic cinematography, but I'll leave some links in the description below if you want to know more about these lenses. So this lens is a 1.33 times anamorphic lens, which means your footage will need to be de-squeezed by a factor of 1.33 width-wise. On your camera, these shots may look compressed and sometimes hard to visualize and frame. A helpful option would be to use an external screen like the small HD Focus 5, which has a de-squeeze preset that lets you see the uncompressed version of your shot. Now in post, de-squeezing is pretty much the same. You just increase the width of your footage by a factor of 1.33 to get the uncompressed version of your footage. So overall, I think this is a very interesting lens that not many people have had the chance to try. For myself, it was the first time I was shooting on an anamorphic lens and I was pleasantly surprised and had lots of fun. However, this is a very niche lens with a very tight focal length, manual focus and uncontrollable flares. Although it will get you very cinematic looking shots, overusing this style might get a little boring after a while. In my opinion, having a single focal length to shoot an anamorphic sequence was pretty difficult, and I'm glad Sirui is releasing their 35mm version of this lens. With more of these lenses being released, I can see more people filming in this aspect ratio and experimenting more with these unique glasses. Alright, so I've left some sample footages at the end of this video for you guys to check out, but I want to thank TK Photo again for lending me this lens for this review. If you guys have enjoyed this video, do give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.